peas?
Well, first of all, you have the presumption that people care what you say. They don't.
That guy that no one cares about, his name is Skip Bayless. When I was young, I wanted to be that guy. He was funny, he was confident, and he didn't mind being wrong.
One day, I am predicting, Johnny Manziel will become even bigger in the city of Cleveland than his buddy and business partner LeBron James ever was.
Okay, actually, maybe he was just delusional. But all that aside, my dream growing up was to be on ESPN. I saw the way people knew Skip. I saw the way he made people feel. And I wanted to do that same thing. But I'll be honest, I rarely saw people that looked like me on ESPN, so it never hit me that I could actually be like Skip Bayless. So I told myself, if I'm going to be on ESPN, it's going to be on SportsCenter's Top 10 Plays. As I grew older, that dream started to fade into the background. I played baseball growing up, and for a long time, I thought that's what I wanted to do. But senior year of high school, after a 3-year span of playing 12 months a year with very few breaks through a whole bunch of injuries, I got tired. And for the first time in my life, I didn't want to play baseball. So I gave up that dream. At the same time, I was watching a whole lot of YouTube. You see, when I was a kid, and even today, I never really had a whole bunch of friends. There would be times in high school on Friday nights when my friends would hang out with themselves, and maybe I just wasn't cool enough or funny enough, but I wouldn't be invited. So I spent a whole bunch of that time just watching YouTube. Nigahiga, Dude Perfect, random gamers. I watched everything. So around that time I was giving up on baseball. I was watching a whole bunch of YouTube, and I went through a phase where I'd watch a large amount of these videos where people would go around and just ask strangers random questions.
If you had one message or a confession to say to your roommate, what would it be?
Stop drinking my Capri Suns.
And it hit me. These guys aren't anything special. They shoot on phone cameras, they got bad mic quality.
Y'all share toothbrushes, bro?
And they don't use any crazy editing techniques. And one day it hit me. I can do all of that too. So that's the first video I ever made. I had a crush on a girl, and I went around asking strangers for advice on how to ask her out.
How would you describe your love life in 3 words?
Rejected.
I made video after video and committed myself to weekly uploads, and I loved every second of it. Except for the editing, but more on that later. I had found my new dream. I wanted to be a YouTuber. And I went to college with that vision. If my channel ever blew up, I promised myself I'd drop out and just do this full time. Then I got busy. Classes, hanging out with friends, playing basketball, and the depressing reality of only having 300 subscribers. All of this led me to just taking a huge break. I barely made any videos in my time in college, and so I gave up that dream too. It was time for me to find a real job. My sophomore year of college, I applied to internship after internship, and I basically got ghosted by every single one. Except for one company. You might have heard of them.
This is
ESPN.
I got an interview, and the interview was going great up until the guy asked me, "Do you know After Effects?" Now After Effects is a pretty advanced video editing software, and like I said, I hated editing. So there was no way in hell I was trying to learn more than the bare necessities. I mean, look at these videos. The editing's terrible. Anyways, the next week, I get an email from my interviewer, and he told me I didn't get the position. I remember how I felt at the time. I had one interview and I bombed it. But I also remember how I felt 5 minutes after this. I told myself, I'm going to learn After Effects. Okay, I'll be honest here. 5 minutes after those 5 minutes, so I guess 10 minutes later, my laptop started overheating from trying to run After Effects, and I was like, hell nah, I ain't doing this, and I didn't touch that program again for another 3 months. But I eventually picked it up, guys, relax. Now fast forward to my junior year of college. My friends had spent their summers at Amazon, Facebook, Google, and me? I'd spent it screwing around at home. So when school started, I was like, yo, we need to start figuring out this career thing. So I made this spreadsheet of all these internships I could apply to, and I ended up applying to over 100. And I got rejected by over 100. But again, I got an interview with ESPN. Different interviewer, but he asked me the same question. Do you know After Effects? And this time, my answer? Hell yeah. I ended up moving on to the final round of interviews, and I think I did alright. And this is the only final round interview I got that entire year, so I banked all my money on this position. I waited patiently for a response, but then this happened.
Now to growing concerns about the deadly coronavirus officially hitting the U.S.
Breaking news. The first death from coronavirus here in the United States.
We have therefore made the assessment that COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic.
Tonight, I want to speak with you about our nation's unprecedented response to the coronavirus outbreak.
A man in his 30s in hospital.
I get an email a couple weeks later from one of my interviewers. Sorry, we had to cancel because of COVID. So I went another year with no professional experience. And remember how I said I didn't have many friends? COVID and some personal growth made it even worse. I finally realized it's probably not a good idea being friends with people who don't like inviting you to hang out because you're boring. So I shut myself off from a bunch of people in my life because I realized how toxic these relationships were. And the combination of having no one to talk to and no one to hang out with gave me a whole bunch of free time that I spent watching YouTube. And then one day, I woke up and I remembered my dream. I remembered wanting to be a YouTuber, and so I made a video. I made a stupid little rant about my favorite baseball team, the San Diego Padres. I went to sleep, and when I woke up, the video was at 1,000 views. And for someone who only had 300 subscribers at the time, this was insane. This gave me hope, so I started grinding YouTube again. Video after video, I'm getting more views, more subscribers, and life is good. That is, until I graduated college and realized I was unemployed. Now, long story short, with such little professional experience, for 5 straight months, I failed interview after interview, sometimes on purpose because the job sounded boring, until I finally got an internship at Bleacher Report. And of course, being a YouTuber, you already know I had to make a video on how I got the job.
And then she didn't ask a single question the rest of the interview. All we did was talk about our favorite YouTube channels.
Working at BR ended up being really cool, but after that internship, I was unemployed again and I began failing interview after interview again. Finally, I just reached a point where I was like, screw it, I'm taking a break. So I decided to pause the job search and take a trip to the Pacific Northwest. But right before I left home, I sent a DM. Remember that guy who interviewed me for ESPN the second time? He and I kept touch over the years, and a couple weeks before I left home, I saw a post for an ESPN job. The description was vague, and I wanted to make sure it was the right fit for me. Who am I kidding? Anything's a fit when you're unemployed. But anyways, I hit him up and asked him for more details. He told me what it was about, but he also told me that his department would be hiring soon too, so I told him to keep me updated. A couple weeks passed, and right before I left home for my little vacation, he told me he didn't know when the positions in his department would open up, but he also asked me for my resume. So I sent it to him and went on vacation. And while I'm on vacation, I get a whole bunch of phone calls. Warning, this may not be accurate.
Hi, is this Yankee Sam 11? Sheesh, y'all calling me Yankee Sam 11 now? Yeah, we came across your resume and saw your YouTube channel. Thought you might be a good candidate to join our YouTube team. Sheesh! Yo, that'd be kinda cool. Sheesh! Yeah, so could you tell us a little bit about your YouTube experience? Sheesh!
Well, you see, a couple years ago, I had this crush on a girl. And right before I'm about to return home, I get one last phone call. Hey Sam, do you want a job at ESPN? Cause you got it. When I was young, my dream was to be on ESPN. But then I made new dreams. I went from making videos on crushes to overheating my laptop to making stupid baseball rants. If you asked me when I was a kid, hey Yankee Sam, did you ever think you'd start your own YouTube channel, get 3,000 subscribers, and someday work for ESPN? My answer would have been nah. I never knew all those lonely nights watching YouTube would actually teach me how to be a better YouTuber, and I never knew that being a YouTuber at ESPN would even be a real job. And don't get me wrong, it's easy to look back and see how everything fit together, but in the midst of it, I never knew that God would use every step in every place to bring me here for His glory. Being on ESPN is no longer a dream of mine. It's a reality. And you know what that means?
It's time to make new dreams.